Hello everybody and welcome back. This is the second part to my Pac-Man World Rally video. Covered the characters, the courses, and what the game actually is. I'll be finishing up here with the courses and battle mode. If you have not seen the first part, I would recommend you see that first. Okay, let's go into the courses. Okay, so how we're going to do this part of the video is not by talking about each course by itself, but rather talk about each cup as a whole. Before, when I originally was going to do this, I was going to go through each course and talk about it by themselves. I even have some footage of me doing that, and it just was very boring, and I don't really like that. This way is not only quicker and more engaging to look at, it's also really easy for me to edit, which I'm happy about. So in Pac-Man World Rally, there are 15 or 16 races that make up 4 cups, or 5 with all of them combined together. Each race has a shortcut. The shortcuts are activated when the player runs over a button that spawns in fruit on the map, and when the fruit is collected, it opens up the shortcut for the player, meaning anybody that's behind can catch it pretty easily. So now let's actually talk about the races. The Cherry Cup is the first cup in the game, and with that comes very simple courses, making the game pretty easy here. None of the courses are that challenging, but they are pretty interesting to look at, especially Molten Mountain and Ghost Mansion. But like all the other courses in the game, they each have their own gimmick, making each course you see here into their own thing. I don't really have a whole lot to say about these courses other than that they are pretty boring and very simple. I love all these courses though just because of all the nostalgia I have for them, but let's just move on to the next cup, the Grape Cup. The Grape Cup is the second cup in the game. Its races are Canyon Crusade, Arctic Iceberg, Jungle Safari, and Pirate Cove. And these races are some of my favorite in the game, especially the first two, Canyon Crusade and Arctic Iceberg. And why that is for multiple reasons. One, because it really starts to show how creative the team behind this game can really get, and it shows just how chaotic the game can become. And with the more chaos, the more difficult the game becomes, which is something I like. The more difficult, the more fun I have. Also, the soundtrack to these two courses are great. I love all the soundtracks in this game, but these two are some of my favorites, but we'll get to my actual favorite one later on. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the Watermelon Cup. The Watermelon Cup is the third cup in the game. It includes Winding Wetfields, Talkman's Factory, Funhouse of Terror, and Spooky's Castle. This cup is the first time we ever see more than one shortcut in a race, with Winding Wetfields and Talkman's Factory having 2 shortcuts, and Funhouse of Terror and Spooky's Castle having 3 shortcuts. All these races in this cup are some of the longest in this game. My favorite track in this cup is probably Spooky's Castle, and there are many reasons for that, mainly because I love the soundtrack so much so that it's in the background right now. Alright, let's move on to the final cup, the Classic Cup. The Classic Cup is the fourth and final cup in the game, if you don't include the Rally Cup, which includes all the races in the one cup. This cup can either have 3 or 4 races depending on which version you're playing. The races are Galactic Outpost, Subterranean Speedway, which is a PSP exclusive. Why that is I'm not sure, but it really sucks because this is a cool race, and I actually can't get any footage of it because I don't want to take anybody else's gameplay off YouTube, and I don't have any recording software for a PSP, so you guys just have a still image of it, I'm sorry. It represents Dig Dug. It also includes King's Course, which represents Katamari, and is the shortest race in the game. And very fittingly for a finale race is Retro Maze. In my opinion, this cup takes a turn for the worse in that it's not as exciting as the rest of the cups in the game. And that's because if you play on the version I play, which is not the PSP, I play the GameCube and PS2 versions, you only get 3 courses, and 2 of those 3 courses are very short, which I find to be very lackluster. Then again, I really do love Retro Maze, and I don't think it could be anywhere else but as the last race in the game. But this cup does have my favorite soundtrack in the game, which is the Galactic Outpost theme, and you heard it in the transition and in the background now. And that's all I gotta say about this cup. Let's just move on to the final part of the video, Battle Mode. There's a lot to Pac-Man World Rally. A lot of those things are really small, like time trials, but there's one more big thing that really attracts me to this game, and that is Battle Mode. The Battle Mode in this game is very fun, and in my opinion one of the better ones out there. There are a lot of game modes in Battle Mode, But the only one really worth mentioning is last cart driving, and that is exactly how it sounds, just be the last cart alive. There are actually quite a few maps, and they're actually open areas from the tracks you find in the game. For instance, there's a map in this one called Canyon Crusade, and it is branched off from the course, which is something you can find for every map you see here. They're just based off of a course in the game. Also, in battle mode, there are custom weapons. So you won't see the bombs or the snowmen or anything in this. You'll see actual guns on the sides of the player's carts. And they're all very cool, and they all do stand on their own, but they are very similar. Or they're just guns and they shoot. It really isn't, they aren't that much to talk about. The game mode is actually very fun though, despite me not really describing it very well or giving that much information on it. It just doesn't really hold to say about it. So yeah, let's wrap up the video. So, in conclusion, Pac-Man World Rally is one of my favorite games of all time, and I really do think that it has been forgotten whenever I believe it's one of the best racing games out there. I know that this part is really short, and that it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that it is 2 parts, but my laptop is struggling to do this. The software I used to make these videos actually crashed 2 times while making this, so I don't think that making this into 1 part really could have worked out at all. And I'm actually really scared it's going to crash again and we'll lose all my progress, so I'm trying to wrap it up. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe so I know I did good, and I should continue doing this. I have so many more games I could do videos over, and I'm really interested in doing that. I don't know what game I'll do or when those will be out, but please, if you like this video, stay tuned. Thanks for watching, bye.